I'm Dave Nelson. Joining me on the host panel this time around is Brad Ludwig and Matt Stein. How you guys doing?
Excellent.
Terrific.
You know, Brad, you say it the same way, and you say the same thing every single time.
Do I? I don't even realize it.
You didn't realize that?
No.
See, now you're gonna notice it every single time. You're gonna catch yourself, and next time you're probably not gonna say excellent.
Probably. I'll change it up.
Yeah. Matt, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. I heard you injured yourself this week.
Yeah. Apparently, when you get close to 30, if you don't stretch before doing stuff, you hurt yourself.
What you you broke your hip or something, right?
No, I pulled a ham sandwich, kicking a soccer ball repeatedly. Yeah. And then I went and drank a bunch of beer and watched soccer.
Because you can't play it anymore. Might as well watch it and get drunk, right?
Yeah, that's one way to put it. I mean, Dave, you should know that there's a World Cup happening in your country right now.
I could care less.
I assume that it's heavily publicized. That's the only reason I figured you would know.
Yeah, I mean, I know what's going on, but I haven't watched a single game yet. So
I would be more surprised if you said you did watch a game, to be honest.
I was in a store that had it on today. That's the closest I've come to actually watching any of the games.
Huh.
Well, fine then.
I thought you'd have been rooting for Team Canada there.
I'll root for whoever I damn well please, Brad.
Well, okay.
All right, let's not get too nasty because we have a guest, of course. Our guest geek this week is the host of the Beyond the Playlist podcast, and he's the co-host of the Grumpy Cast podcast from Salt Lake City. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Geeks Club, Hammond Chamberlain. Hammond, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This is kind of a big deal.
It's a big deal, really? Our small little podcast?
Yeah, because you guys actually came and asked me. It wasn't me trying to kick down the door and beg and plead to come on. You guys actually were foolish enough to ask me to come on.
Well, little do you know that you're going to be sorely mistaken. You're going to be sorry you came in about 10 minutes.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Hey,
You beat me to it.
If you're playing the Galactic Netcast drinking game, take a drink. So, tell us about your couple of your podcasts. There, they're both different. They're both awesome.
Well, thank you. Beyond the Playlist is kind of my endeavor to chase the dragon of creativity. I mean, it's one of those things where it's such an amorphous thing to try to get people to talk about why and how and the reasons and the methods and the techniques with which they create. So that's kind of what that show does. So I talk to musicians, podcasters, artists, sculptors, filmmakers, directors, anybody that does anything in a creative vein. And it's kind of an eclectic group, and a lot of them aren't people who are known every day, but I feel like they should be because there's some super talented, super interesting, super creative people that come on. So that's what one is. And then the other show is me and Daryl Skeels complaining about the stuff that bugs us in our daily life. And it can be anything from, traffic to poop snuggling. So
it's such a simple simple and awesome concept. Just two guys sitting around just bitching about stuff.
Yeah, and it's totally fun. We've been doing it now over a year.
Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that first? There's so many things in this world I hate.
And we just had our maiden voyage as a live show on Alpha Geek Radio just about an hour ago. So
nice.
Yeah, we were supposed to go live on Alpha Geek this week, but something happened. Google changed something, and now you can't stream Hangouts to the Alpha Geek the way they have it set up. So hopefully soon we'll be on Alpha Geek Radio as well, and we'll get some more listeners. But thank you, Hammond, for coming on. And I am kind of jealous about the person that you had on Beyond the Playlist most recently. Who was that?
Well, it hasn't gone live yet. It's actually the second week next month. I'm kind of...
Is it Mum? Is it Mum's the word?
No, I can tell you. I interviewed Chase Masterson, known from Deep Space Nine and film and sci-fi genre stuff worldwide.
She was a Dabo girl on Deep Space Nine, and I was in love with her. When that show was new, I was totally in love with her. I loved her.
Yeah, there was another lady I interviewed who is a jazz musician. Her name is Kayleen Peoples, and she was doing a CD release party, and everybody that was involved with her concert, she gave me their contact information, and I've interviewed two of the other people, the two of the four people she gave me, and the other two are kind of on tap. So
Sweet. Nice, very nice.
All right, let's dig into the sci-fi news of the week, and this kind of goes. This is a throwback to a former guest of ours by the name of Andy Weir. He was on episode. Brad, do you know?
21.
21.
Or 23.
Okay, he's the author of The Martian, and the trailer for the movie version of his book hit this week. It dropped this week, and it was pretty cool. Did you guys get a chance to see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Both of them.
Let me ask you guys. I know both Brad and Matt have read. Matt, you read most of the book. Did you read all the book?
I got to the end. Yeah.
Okay.
I got to the end before Andy was on.
Okay. Hammond, did you read The Martian?
I did not. I was kind of unfamiliar with the property when I watched the trailer.
Oh, it's a fantastic book, and the guy who wrote it is awesome. He wasn't really an author, and it just kind of blew up on him. I mean, blew up in a good way. It was a not an instant success, but he wasn't. Brad, refresh my memory. What is Andy's career before being writer? He was
a software developer.
Yeah. Okay. So
big into math, huge math nerd.
Yeah, so a lot of math involved in that book actually, because it's basically about an astronaut who gets stranded on Mars, and he has to figure out a way of surviving until they can rescue him. They can get him off the planet. So a lot of math is involved to try to figure out how to make these supplies last, to grow crops on a planet that doesn't support life. So there's a lot of math involved but a lot of great characters, and it works when you don't think it's going to work, because it's him by himself most of the time alone. And I don't know about you, Matt and Brad, but don't you think what's his face? Matt Damon captured Mark Watley's character to a T.
Yes. Absolutely.
I only saw the one trailer where it looks like he's making a video before they take off.
There was that one, and then the day after they did a actual official movie trailer.
Yeah, I didn't see the official trailer. I didn't have time to watch it, but I don't dislike Matt Damon, but I really don't like him either. So I'm curious to see what he does, because I didn't like The Martian for like the whole sciencey part. I liked it for kind of the dry humor. Because obviously,
and that comes across in the trailer.
Yes. Yeah, it does, and I'm curious to see if he can accurately portray it for the entire film. I mean, my problem now is all these movies, the trailers come out, and it's like they put the best 2 minutes in. So I hope they can do the book justice, because I did really like the book, and that doesn't happen often.
But they've been doing that for years, selling the best 2 minutes. Every comedy that's come out from 1982 on has the best jokes in the trailer.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And they pretty much, with Avengers: Age of Ultron, the whole movie is in those trailers. If you want to figure out, well, pretty much the whole movie's in those trailers. If you want to really dig into it, you can figure out what the movie's about just from those trailers. But
wasn't there some major spoiler in the Genesis trailer? The new Terminator movie wasn't there like a big spoiler right in the trailer?
Yeah, I'm avoiding watching those. I don't know about you guys. Have you guys
watched the
trailers?
No, I saw one of the early ones, and I went, you know what? I don't want to see anymore.
That's the way I feel about the whole film, but...
Whoa.
I love 1 and 2. I am not going to taint any memory by watching any of the others.
But Hammond, did you hear what James Cameron had to say about it?
Yeah, I think he's just looking to get his name in the paper.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah? You think?
He's trying to get his name in the paper so people start remembering who he is before Avatar 2 comes out.
Oh, okay. And Avatar 20, right? There's about 20 sequels after in the pipeline.
I sure as hell hope not.
All right, so let's move on to the second story. Copy of the original Star Wars script unearthed at a library at the University of New Brunswick. Apparently, they were just digitizing things in the library, and they just happened to run into it. And it's a script that was dated March 15th, 1976. And it's as close to the final script as you can get, basically. There's a few slight changes. Like, I don't know, I'm sure you guys have heard that Luke Skywalker was originally called Luke Starkiller, and the film was called Saga 1 rather than Episode 4. And then, according to the librarian, Han definitely shot first.
Although I did see something where they were saying that they think that that is a replica of
Really?
the script. It's not a real raft.
Oh, no.
Yep.
You've crushed my dreams, Brad.
I am sorry. That was just released late yesterday or early today.
Oh, man. Damn me for not keeping up on the story.
That's all right. I just wanted to give you that quick. It's a copy, so I would say that the information is probably legit, but it is not an original.
Okay, so it's not as special as we thought it was.
Not quite as special, but if it is a copy or a replica, the information would probably still be accurate.
I had the same thing with an Army of Darkness script. So.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
So how was it different from the final cut?
Not a lot. It's one of those replica scripts you buy. I bought mine at Pike's Market in Seattle, and I have a skull from the film.
Oh, so you're
Oh,
big.
nice.
Yeah.
So are you excited for the Star series?
Oh, heck yeah. I'm going to actually try to figure out how a cable cutter can get stars.
Ah. You know, maybe they'll jump on the whole because HBO's got the live app. Showtime's releasing their live app. Maybe Stars will get on that bandwagon.
They used to have a contract with Netflix, so hopefully that's still alive. But if not, yeah, I got to look for it because that's something I definitely want.
Yeah. Do you know if is it a limited series? It's only a few episodes, like.
I'll be honest, I don't know much about it except for that it's coming out and that I got to figure a way to watch it.
It sounds like a very interesting premise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that film franchise, but the way they're doing it sounds interesting, and I actually kind of like to watch it. So I got to find a way of watching it.
The way you guys felt when I made the Terminator comment, you just made me feel.
Sorry. It's all right. I mean, I'd like to watch it. You know, it's not number one on my list, but it's not the last thing on my list to watch. So, you know,
I will watch that movie at least 4 times a year.
Wow. Okay.
I have a little bit of information here. It is a 10-episode first season for Stars.
Oh, it's like Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah. They do that now, where they kind of test the waters with a shorter season. Like the Fear of the Walking Dead is doing exactly the same thing as The Walking Dead did, only like a handful of episodes. See how it does, then they'll do more the second season.
Yep.
I watched the From Dusk Till Dawn stuff, and it was actually pretty good.
Huh. Yeah, I saw that they had made a series, but I had not, and that's on what, El Rey?
Uh-huh, yeah. It's on Netflix now. I've watched it on watched it on Netflix. So, but yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was definitely better than like The Hangman's Daughter.
Huh. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm gonna have to check that out. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is it produced by those guys, or is it?
It's on the El Rey is the Robert Rodriguez channel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he's knee deep in it.
I didn't know he had his own channel either.
It's got a wrestling TV show on there called Lucha Underground.
Okay.
He plays a lot of Grindhouse films on there and all kinds of stuff. It's great.
All right, I'll have to investigate that as well. Okay, you've given me too much to do, Hammond. You're making me a busy guy here. All right, so this just broke today. Sir Christopher Lee, the actor, passed away at the age of 93.
Yeah.
93. He was born in 1922. He was a year older than my father is. Of course, we know him most for playing Saruman from The Lord of the Rings, and also Count Dooku from the Star Wars prequels.
See, I know him all from the Hammer movies because I was introduced to him when I was a kid. I was a huge Hammer kid, so when he showed up in Lord of the Rings, like, oh look, they've got Dracula playing.
See, I don't think I ever watched those movies. I only know him basically from either Count Dooku or the Lord of the Rings series.
I'm significantly older than you guys are, probably.
How old are you?
44.
I'm 48. I'm older than you.
Okay.
I too am 44.
Okay. So go back and watch some of those Hammer movies. Go back and watch some of those Hammer films. They are great.
Okay. See, you're making the list longer, Hammond.
I'm sorry.
Starting to get upset. You're never coming on again. Okay. I was listening to another podcaster. I was doing some reading. I don't know what it was, but it seemed like he had a lot of ebbs and flows in his career, where it was like he'd be really popular in some great movies, but then he would do like some B movies, and
like episode 2 and 3.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they were meant to be those kind of movies, but they ended up being those kind of movies. Yeah, I was looking for images to put on our website today, and I saw the ones where he was flying through the air in that contraption, and I just remembered how stupid that was. Yeah, let's not relive that time with those movies.
Nope.
Did he do the Hobbit movies?
I don't know if he shows up in them, does he? I didn't watch the Seven Armies, and I don't remember him being in the other one. So.
No, Saruman only. He's only in the Lord of the Rings series. Yeah, he doesn't show up in the Hobbit at all.
Okay.
At least in the books.
He also released a couple of heavy metal albums before he passed away too.
Yes,
right.
he did.
Yes. Matt, I'm surprised that you're not familiar with his work then.
I guess the question is it good?
It's basically him talking over prog rock.
But doesn't he?
Yeah, I know.
Doesn't he? Do Hammond? Doesn't
huh?
he? This one song that I heard is he talked and then he sang at the end.
Oh yeah, he does. I'm just saying that he kind of Shatners it up a bit.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's the style he chose to perform with.
So Matt, your homework for next week is to investigate and listen to some Christopher Lee and get back to us. Do a full report.
It's all on Spotify, so I can listen to it at work.
What is?
These are some pretty badass album covers.
I own the stuff, so it's.
Wow.
I don't know if I like that or not.
I bought it because.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I bought it because I like weird music like that, so it totally works.
Okay.
Huh.
Now, he was a very well-rounded person. He sounds like he had his hands in a lot of different things, so that's pretty awesome. And 93 years old, that's not too young. He lived a long, full life, so it's sad, but it's at the same time you understand that it was his time. 93 years old. It's a pretty good age to.
And he was such a badass too. I mean, his military service was. He was a badass. Did
you read some of it? What did he do? What was he involved in? He was involved with World War II, obviously.
Yeah. Hang on.
Is he like James Doohan? Because James Doohan, he was involved in D-Day. He landed with the forces on D-Day, and he killed just I think 3 snipers on D-Day. James Doohan, and then he was. During the entire time that he was in the war, he was shot 7 times. So Scotty, he was a badass.
Was he wearing a red shirt?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's his problem. For a couple of different reasons. One being the red shirt kind of stands out a little bit. The target.
I remember reading some stories about him. I'm trying to look at Wikipedia and trying to find like some good tidbits here, but
I know one of the things I read today was that he actually had met Tolkien, and he was the only member of the cast who had.
Really? That's
Yeah.
interesting. Did he meet? No, he didn't meet him during the war, did he?
I don't know any of the details. It was just one of those things that flashed by as I was scrolling through my feed today.
Okay. Hammond, you might have to unplug your microphone. You're cracking up a little bit and plug it back in again. It's doing that thing.
That thing, okay.
That thing it does. All right, so let's just Brad, you keep on researching it. I'm gonna just dive into the last story here in the news. SciFi is launching a Hyperion event series with executive producer Bradley Cooper. Are you guys familiar with the Hyperion book series?
no, I am not.
No.
I wasn't either, and it's a good thing that this article on Blaster pretty much did a great synopsis of it. It is set in the 28th century. It's Dan Simmons is the author, and in the novel, Hyperion takes place long after humankind has abandoned Earth, which was destroyed by an artificially generated black hole. I hate when that happens. And humans kind of spread out into the far reaches of space through the use of a vast teleportation network created by artificial intelligence. No casting, production, or air date has been announced yet on the Hyperion series, and apparently there is a number of books in this series. So if it's successful, they've got plenty of source material to go to use for the series. So maybe season 2, season 3, who knows? But it sounds like SciFi is really getting serious about their sci-fi again. They've got a number of things in the pipeline. In fact, this month they are premiering 2 shows, Dark Matter and Killjoys is the 2 series they're premiering this month. They're both set in space. They're both pure science, no, not pure science fiction, but they're definitely sci-fi.
Did you guys watch Helix?
I think I watched the first episode.
Yeah, Dave made me watch the first episode.
I did?
Yeah, that was one week you're like, this is your homework, and you made me watch it, and I watched it, and you never asked me about it again.
Oh, well, what did you think of it? Sorry.
Well, it was a really long time ago. I remember not hating it. That's about it.
Okay. Hammond, what did you think of that?
I watched the whole thing straight through. Like I let it build up on my DVR before we cut cable, and I enjoyed, for the most part, I enjoyed it. It was a cross between zombies and science and espionage. Kind of Lost meets Walking Dead meets The Thing.
Have they had a season 2 yet of that show?
I don't know. We cut cable shortly after that season was over, and I haven't turned back since.
By the way, your microphone's still being...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to mute and see what I can do. I'll be back, hopefully.
Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, I'm pretty excited about this series. It sounds very interesting. Sounds like super hardcore, straight up science fiction, like some hard science fiction. Anytime a series or a science fiction book talks about the human race going into the galaxy and basically hundreds of years after now, that's some serious science fiction.
Here we go.
To answer your question, Season 2 ran January 16th, 2015 to April 10th, 2015. So,
Okay.
Yes, there is a Season 2, and it's now over.
Okay. So, okay, you already answered what you thought of it, right?
Yeah.
Brad,
I don't know if I would go back and see the end of it if that's what was something you were thinking.
Brad, did you get the information on that you were looking for?
Yeah, actually, Christopher Lee was a part of the SAS.
Oh, okay.
So he they're forbidden to talk about any of their operations. But I remember a story about him being on the set of something, and he ended up taking somebody. Oh, where? I need to find that.
Taking somebody down?
Well, yeah, somebody was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna take a," and he's like, "Son, I was in special forces."
That is awesome. That is really, really awesome. To have somebody that much of a badass as an actor, I mean, oh my God, that is, and to live until 93, Jesus. He must have seen a lot in his life, you know. Anyways, all right. So that's your news. We will have the links to all these stories in the show notes, and of course on the website at galacticnetcast.com. Just find the Sci-Fi Geeks Club link, and you'll find it there. Let's move into our discussion story, or discussion topic this week. And kind of wanted to touch on this from a story that I saw this week about the 48 superhero comic book related movies coming out between now and the early 2020s. And of course we've got the at least 5 Star Wars movies on the schedule as well. Probably more than 5, I'm guessing, because they're talking about doing a whole series on Obi-Wan Kenobi now. So my question for you guys this week is there such thing as too much of a good thing? Like, is there too many comic book movies coming out? Is there too much Star Wars coming out? Transformers is working on a whole expanded universe of movies. You know, are we focusing our energy too much on building franchises? Should we be doing more standalone movies or less sequels? What do you guys think?
I have a serious problem with the lack of creativity across the board. Not only music, movie, any of that. It's just like we're in this rut, and I can't remember what else I saw it happen to. TV's doing it a lot now. Like, oh, Full House is coming back. They're redoing Boy Meets World. They're taking stuff that worked, what was that, 20 years ago, and redoing it now and catering towards the crowd that it appealed to 20 years ago, because all the new stuff that's coming out no one cares about anymore.
It's the whole nostalgia factor. People love nostalgia. They love reliving things that they have fond memories for.
Which works, but they don't. It works. Like, I admit it. I enjoy nostalgia. Like, I went and saw Pauly Shore do stand up like 2 weeks ago, just because I love Biodome and his movies.
Did he do
the nostalgic factor?
The Weasel?
He did. He did a lot of the Weasel and then made fun of himself, and then said he's thankful about how no one knows who he is anymore. I wish there would be new content that would come out. Like, yes, I enjoy the nostalgia and I enjoy revisiting my childhood, but at some point the well is going to dry up. The well already is drying up. You can only reboot Spider-Man so many times. You can only remake, Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street so many times before it just doesn't work. Even Top 40 Radio is doing it right now. They take beats and tunes and stuff from songs that were old and cool and reusing them and just turning them to complete garbage. And, like, I'm not going to stand up for Sir Mix-a-Lot, but what Nicki Minaj did to that song is just a bastardization of what it was.
I find myself talking to my 15-year-old about what she thinks is a new song. I go, hey, they're sampling so-and-so from so-and-so. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a song originally from 1998.
Yeah, and people always ask me, they're like, how can you listen to and play music where there's no singing and it's just noise? And I said, how can you listen to the radio and be like, this is quality music? At least the stuff that I listen to and partake in is, you have to be talented to do. The garbage that they're releasing now is just someone else's music, and you're saying something that someone in a different room wrote for you to say, and I don't know. I'm done being completely butthurt about music.
But, going back to movies, sci-fi movies, it's really too bad that there's that trend of the big movies of the year are only ones that are retreads or remakes or sequels, because there's a lot of great original movies that have come out like this year. You had that I'm gonna botch the way it's pronounced, but that Ex Machina.
Yep.
It was that AI movie, which from all that I've heard is an awesome film. I don't know how good it is, but Jupiter Ascending, another original sci-fi film that came out this year, didn't do well at all at the box office. So it's, I think the wind of sequels and remakes is taken away from a lot of original stuff at times.
People need to want to spend their money on something that they're not 100% sure is going to be good, and I think the internet helps make that a problem, because back 15, 20 years ago or whatever, when I was a kid, you bought a CD because you heard one song on the radio and hoped to God that the rest was good. You went and saw a movie because you saw a 2-minute trailer and you hoped that it was good. You didn't hear what everyone and their mother on the internet had to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet is a blessing and a curse for that reason. Like, you can now hear and almost see entire movies or entire CDs before they're ever released because so much content is available.
Mm-hmm. I found myself doing that too. Because I value my money so much, I don't want to blow it on something that I'm not going to enjoy. It has to be a really, really good movie for me to go to the theater to actually watch. More times than not, I'll say, I'll wait till it's on home video, or I'll wait till it's on Netflix. Brad,
yeah?
What are your thoughts on this? I know you're in mid-chew right now. Sorry.
Shame on me.
We'll wait all day, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
I know that you're a big fan of the comic book genre. So,
Yeah.
is it too much right now, or too much coming up?
I would say not necessarily. And the reason why I say it is, as of right now, we've got Marvel putting out films, and they're putting out on average 2 a year. So, there are some, independent. Well, independent's not the right word necessarily. Marvel's the most high profile because their characters have another form of media which they can be introduced to people, comic books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Marvel is very mainstream. Now, there are other lesser known comic book movies like Push, like 30 Days of Night, like...
What's the one where I know it's in development right now, but it's the one where he eats something and chew. Isn't that being made into a movie?
That's being made into... They've been kind of going back and forth between movie or TV show. So.
And Sex Criminals is another one, isn't it, that they're developing, I believe?
And that is not ringing a bell as a comic book movie, but that doesn't mean anything because I stopped collecting comic books a little while ago. So,
okay, all right.
So I'm not going to correct you there because I just don't know. I guess the point I'm trying to make is until Warner Brothers gets their heads out of their butts and starts actually producing good movies, I mean, Batman, the Batman series was good with Christopher Nolan, but the Superman movie did not do very well at all. Man of Steel was not a critically acclaimed hit. If they can get Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice to go over well, and the rest of their film slate for their other heroes, like the proposed Flash film, like the Aquaman film, like these other things, I think you're going to see a lot more if they're done well. If Warner doesn't drop the ball and screw it up, I think at that point you could start to make the case for there is too much.
What
I think
about
that,
what about TV? Because I mean, I don't want to limit this to just movies. I mean, it's
sure.
too much of anything. Is there too many comic book or superhero related shows on TV?
I would say no, because the only ones that I mean, Constantine has now finally died. It's done. Uh, so you have right now you've got Agents of Marvel Agents of Shield. You've got Flash. You've got Arrow. You've got the upcoming Supergirl on CBS.
Mm-hmm.
CW also has iZombie, which
And
is coming back for another season.
Legends of Tomorrow. That's going to be
Yeah.
mid-season show.
I think that a lot of those shows are all going to be on CW.
Yeah, there's quickly turning into the DC network, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. So the exceptions right now, you could make a case for Heroes Reborn on NBC being a comic book type movie or a comic book type show. But then there's Supergirl on CBS.
There's TNT is working on a Titans show.
The Titans show, yep.
SciFi is working on the Krypton show, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But that's going to be less comic book because it's going to be based on Krypton before they took
Before
Kal-El.
it explodes, yeah.
Yeah.
Long before it explodes.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see the approach on that. If they do it more along the lines of Game of Thrones, which is what like early Krypton is kind of based on. It's like almost a feudal technocratic society. There are the different families have different houses. I mean, there's the House of El, which Kal-El, Jor-El they're all from. But then there were, I can't remember how many other houses, other families of import on Krypton.
They do it right, it'll be good.
Yeah. Is it too much? Not quite yet. I mean, after those shows are released, then I think we could start looking at the landscape, and I don't think it's ever going to take off like reality TV, because reality TV was just, it's cheap. You know,
and at its peak, there was a lot of it. So I don't think you could ever reach that point where reality TV was with comic book related TV shows. Yeah, no. You're right. It's cheap to make.
It's that level of expense to do the effects and to do everything else. You would never obtain that type of burnout that I think people have reached with reality TV.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's less of them now. I mean, there's.
Thank God.
Yeah. So let's not even keep it with comic book stuff. I mean, do you think there's too much franchising of movie series? Like Disney's going all out with the Star Wars franchise. You think that's gonna be end up? Do you think that's gonna be diluted because there's too many of them?
Strike while the iron's hot.
There is that. I'm going to tell you a story about a conversation I had with somebody at a video store, and it was at the point where the first Bryan Singer X-Men film had been announced, that it was going to come out, and somebody to me then said, well, they're going to do 3 movies because there's a contract. And I almost, had I cared enough, would have countered that argument with, well, the actors for Lost in Space were contracted for 3 films as well, and that didn't pan out. So, I mean, franchising is not a new concept by any stretch of the imagination.
That's true.
We're now talking, at that point in time, I had that conversation in 1999. So this franchising concept has been around for a very long time. To be able to
Yeah, look at the Jaws. There was a number of Jaws movies.
Well, I don't think that they had really had necessarily intended to do more than that, because I don't think Spielberg was attached to the rest of them.
They just saw that it was successful, so they decided to make additional sequels.
Make sequels. I think
with a lot of other films as well.
Yeah, so let's not confuse sequels with franchising. Yeah. Franchising is really making a property based on the intent of creating at least two or more of a thing to continue it, whereas a sequel might be, hey, this was really successful, let's make more. Because I don't think Scream was necessarily thought of to be, or they had really intended to do more than the first Scream film, but it took off, did so well that they made sequels.
There is a distinct difference. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Hammond, are you back, by the way? Is your microphone working?
I should be back.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, there you go. You sound great.
Crystal clear.
All right, thanks. Good. My concern is not about the number. It's about the weight of all of it on the studios. Marvel in particular hit their stride in a big way with the Avengers and Winter Soldier. And I feel like the second Avengers film was a step backwards. And I'm concerned that they're going to continue to kind of... They're still fine movies. I'm not knocking the quality because we've gotten kind of spoiled, because Winter Soldier was an excellent espionage 70s style spy thriller. And The Avengers was that fun, bright comic book movie that the Fantastic Four wanted to be but couldn't pull it off. And they hit two solid, more than home runs with those two. But I'm concerned that the speed with which they're trying to churn them all out and strike while the iron is hot is actually going to break them, and they're going to become tired of it before we do.
But I'm just trying to think back in Hollywood's history. There's been a number of times where there's been a certain genre that's been really popular, right? I mean, like we were talking about Christopher Lee earlier, about how he was in the what franchise, what movies were, what are they called?
The Hammer films?
Yeah. I mean, the Draculas. There was the whole MGM monster movies. I mean, there's always been trends in Hollywood, so maybe this is just another trend that we will, have to ride through and get to the next trend.
But let's think about that for a minute. Let's think Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. I mean, that was definitely an era of fantasy filmmaking, and it's been replaced by the age of superheroes. So they lasted for how long? What are we looking at? 7, 8 films for Harry Potter over the course of, 15 years?
Yeah, and we're talking 48 superhero movies between now and the early 2020s. There's a big difference.
Yes, I think there's a gut of it that's going to happen where either the studios realize they're either just printing money and they get lazy, or they fall prey to thinking that they're just done, or we stop going.
But do you think a person should just go with it, like just take the attitude of I'm going to ride it out while it's hot?
Sure. I mean, I'm going to go see them all. Maybe not first weekend, but I'll see them eventually in the theaters. I even saw the Thor movies in the theater.
Really? Okay. Well, the good news is, at least for the Captain America Winter Soldier, and I believe not Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, and I believe the next Avengers films are all going to be Russo brothers, who did Captain America Civil War, or Winter Soldier. So,
correct.
If you like that, you may like the upcoming ones.
Yeah, I'm excited about Ant-Man. I'm excited about Black Panther. I don't care much about Doctor Strange. Is that who Cumberbatch is playing?
Yep.
But I like Cumberbatch, so I'll see it because of him, if nothing else. I mean, I didn't know anything about Birdman going into it, but I went to see it because Keaton was doing it, and I thought Birdman was genius.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
As when I was a kid, I was a huge Star Wars fan, but I've realized as I've gotten older, I'm more of a Star Trek guy. And that has nothing to do with the fact I do a show with Daryl, but for whatever reason, those sensibilities mean more to me now as an adult than the Star Wars sensibilities do.
we could start a whole Star Trek conversation because I read an interview today on I think Comic Book Resources with or about Michael Dorn and that whole Captain Worf proposed series that he wants to do, and I'm seeing that like all over the place now, and that's kind of a good sign, right? And
Yeah.
I'm hoping and praying that they do something with Star Trek because that's talking about franchise and getting worn out or getting a franchise tired out. That's kind of what happened with Star Trek, and I wish that they've got a built-in franchise. I wish they would get back to it. Do what Star Trek is really supposed to be, and that's episodic TV. I'm pissed off.
Very much so.
All right. So, final thoughts on this. You guys have anything more before we move on?
Negative.
No, I think
I'm timidly excited about it. I think that at some point either our attention span is going to burn or the studios will.
Do you think they're going to drop some of these movies? I guess if the popularity starts waning, they'd almost have to. I mean, 48 movies. Some of them are probably going to be the victim of cuts, don't you think?
Oh yes.
Not everything can be Winter Soldier, and not everything can be. I mean, let's think of just the Iron Man franchise. Each one of those have levels of success, and then they have the ones where we kind of avoid.
Yeah, I liked the first one. I didn't really like the second and third one too much. Was there 4 or just 3?
Just 3.
Okay, all right. All right, good stuff. Okay, so that's your. If we would love your feedback, by the way. If you guys have thoughts on this, galacticnetcasts@gmail.com is our email address. You can also reach out to us via the voicemail, which is 805-328-3966, 805-328-3966. Or also, we've got a little feature on our website, galacticnetcast.com. You click on it. It's on any page that you go to. Little thing on the right-hand side. You click on that. Leave us a voice message through the website. It's actually easier to do on a mobile device. So jump on your mobile browser and click on that and leave us a recorded message through the website, and we'll play it back. Your thoughts on this topic or anything that we've talked about on this episode. Is there such thing as too much of a good thing? We would love to know and hear your thoughts on that. Okay, I got a new feature, guys. New feature on the podcast. It's our Geek Drink of the Week, and this is your mission for the. I know Hammond doesn't drink, but for everybody else that drinks alcohol, here is your Geek Drink of the Week. Matt, make sure that you write this down, okay?
Because you don't have the show notes in front of you.
That's very true. That's very true.
But he proves a valid point because I'm not going to have the show notes in front of me if I go out drinking or if I'm sitting in my living room.
Okay. Do you have a note-taking app on your phone, Matt?
Yes, I do. I will. And the funny thing is the once tomorrow is the once in every 6 months where Alyssa and I actually go to a happy hour. So I'm gonna try and get this tomorrow.
Okay, so have this tomorrow, and then report back to us next week and tell us how it was. You're gonna have a Romulan Ale, and this, of course, is from Star Trek: The Romulans. This is the ingredients: 1.5 ounce white rum, 1 ounce blue
Curacao.
Curacao.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 7-Up, doesn't say how much, and 6 drops Tabasco sauce. Mix all the ingredients together, pour into a tall, narrow glass, and add a grain of salt. And there you go. That's your Romulan Ale.
So would the challenge be to add drops of Tabasco to prove how manly you are, just to pile on? And
No.
Well, you're a Romulan, Hammond. You have to prove your worth to the Romulan Empire. You have to prove that you're a soldier of the Empire. You're strong enough, you're tough enough to handle this drink. That's what it is. So, Matt, I can't wait to hear your report next week.
It sounds kind of disgusting, but I'll try it.
Take one for the
Hey,
team.
Matt, I have to admit, he gives you a ton of homework. I'm glad I'm not a regular.
But if you paid attention before, he gave me homework and then forgot about it until I brought it up 6 months later.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter, Hammond. I do this all the time. I've got the memory of a gnat, you know. All right, so thank you very much, Hammond, for being our guest geek this week on the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. Before we get out of here, tell people again where people can find you, or where's the best place that they can find you and your stuff online?
Well, first off, I want to apologize for the microphone issues. So my apologies for that.
No worries.
But you can go to my website, which is jhammondc.com, and that has links to a blog I update about once a month with who's on the show. It takes you to the iTunes pages for Beyond the Playlist and GrumpyCast and Booth at the End and Citadel Cafe and all the other things I do. And there's that. I'm jhammondc on Twitter, and that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you for taking your time out tonight. I know you're busy. You're doing podcasts. You have a family. You have a life, unlike some of us. So we appreciate you taking your time out of your day and joining us here in the Sci-Fi Geeks Club.
Yes.
Thanks for asking. I actually, like I said earlier, I was very flattered. It's, most of the time, let's see, I've only been a guest on asked guest on one other show. I kind of beat Joel Duggan into submission just till he kind of let me on.
Well, he's easily coerced. We've had him on twice, so he's
Canadian. He's nice.
Yeah. And he apologizes too. He apologizes every time he comes on our podcast. Sorry. I'm still working on my sorry. Once in a while I'll say sorry and they laugh at me. You guys don't realize how funny it is when Canadians hear Americans say sorry. Sorry.
Those damn O's will get you every time.
Yeah, no, it's a weird thing. Language is a funny thing. All right, so I'm Dave Nelson on behalf of Brad, Anessa, Matt, and Hammond. We will talk to you guys next time.
Thanks, Dave.
Bye, Dad.